In 1994 CE, the movie Toy Story was released, the first fully computer-animated film, a delightful tale about the secret life of toys that had something a little more serious to teach children. How to be a man. In the namby-pamby politically correct 90s, where other cartoons were filling kids' heads with all sorts of mixed up ideas like how women can do things, or whitewashing literal genocide but not whitewashing it enough to satisfy me, Toy Story had the balls to give us a loud and proud male role model. Someone for little boys to look up to for a change. Someone they could learn from, maybe harden up a little. I'm of course referring to Mr. Potato Head, the ultimate man and my surrogate father. What had previously been some toy from the Depression or some shit, who cares, was transformed into a hard-drinking, cigar-chomping man's man. All the ladies wanted him, and all the men wanted to be him. This potato had the biggest, hardest dick of any of the toys. And none of that is shown in the film. It's subtext, it's a kid's movie, obviously they can't show the potato's dick, but if you read between the lines, it's all there, you can tell. Well, guess what? I guess traditional masculinity isn't woke enough anymore for some people because the feminazis over at Hasbro, who I assume all have shrill voices, decided that Mr. Potato Head was now going to be simply Potato Head. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that as a result, men no longer exist. Now luckily this time, this isn't true at all and they weren't doing that. They didn't change the potato's name, they changed the brand name, and they're gonna make a new doll that's just called Potato Head, but the original doll is still gonna be sold. But I'm still very mad, and I'm still going to be buying Mr. Potato Heads for myself and everyone in my family to show the Hasbro Corporation they can't push us around anymore. They can't take us for granted is why I'm buying their products, but it's not true and also never was. Hey, did you know that right now in Myanmar, a military junta has overthrown the democratically elected government? They just claimed the election was invalid based on no evidence, sounds familiar, and declared a state of emergency and just took over. Guess that's the new fascist playbook, and no country will ever again have a peaceful transfer of power. Now they're brutalizing protesters and are likely to enact ethnic cleansing policies against the country's Rohingya minority. Dr. Seuss's family has been murdered. You heard that right. The woke mob has broken into their homes and, figuratively speaking, slit their throats and watched them bleed out and die. 6 books from Dr. Seuss have been banned by the fascist PC police. Well, I mean, not banned. They're going out of print. I mean, you can still buy them. They're still in libraries and bookstores. But this is literally 1984. This is the plot of the book 1984. And if you read 1984, while you still can, you'll find that the first page is all about ceasing the printing of certain children's books, probably. And Dr. Seuss, a thing I remember from my childhood? You're telling me I won't be able to read my children Cat in the Hat? No, that one's fine. How the Grinch Stole Christmas? No, that one's fine. Green Eggs and Ham? No, that one's fine. Oh, the Places You'll Go? No, that one's fine. One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish? No, that one's fine. Fox in Socks? No, that one's fine. The Lorax? No, that one's fine. Hop on Pop? No, that one's fine. Yertle the Turtle? No, that one's fine. No. They canceled the best ones, the ones everybody likes and remembers. For example, On Beyond Zebra and The Cat's Quizzer, and I'm pretty sure I remember those. Well, they're not gonna get away with this, let me tell you. I'm gonna buy all the Dr. Seuss books I can afford to show them they can't push us around anymore. Their record sales ought to make them think twice about their business choices, which is what is censorship. This is censorship, it's about freedom of ideas. You know, the Nazis burned books, and if we hadn't stopped them, maybe they would have progressed to letting other books go out of print. Who knows? Also, it's not important what the books they were burning were about. Don't look into it. Also, what's so offensive about this? What's racist about that? Tell me what's racist about it. You can't. There's nothing. It's fine. I texted one of my many Asian friends about it, and he never texted me back. So obviously, he's fine with it. Hey, did you know that 1 in 5 prisoners in the United States has COVID? It's this huge outbreak made all the more deadly by overcrowded prisons and mass incarceration that nobody's really talking about. Prisoners can't socially distance, and lawmakers are not really incentivized to prioritize their safety. Of course, this isn't just a problem in the United States, it's a problem in Canada too. Most people in prison are there for non-violent offenses, like drugs, and for that, about 250,000 of them have caught the disease and received less than substantial medical care, resulting in about 1,700 deaths. That we know of, because COVID numbers are almost always underreported, and that's when they're, studied. They don't let the Looney Tunes fuck anymore. When I was a kid, Lola Bunny from Space Jam had big tits. Pepe Le Pew, the horny skunk, would teach children how to harass women because it's funny to do that. Nowadays, it's like they want to take all the sex out of these children's cartoons. How are our children supposed to learn how to fuck rabbits and be creeps? On the streets? I'm sorry, it's just a little funny to me that within seconds, I can search on Google for pictures of women sitting on birthday cakes, but if I want to go watch this children's movie and jerk it to the cartoon rabbit, I can't. It's sick. The sex-obsessed left is censoring all of the sexiest cartoon rabbits. And oh, Pepe Le Pew is problematic now. I'm sorry, is it problematic to teach children to violate other people's boundaries? That when people say no to your advances, you should try harder and harder, even if they're visibly uncomfortable? To teach children it's a funny joke to hold someone in place and force them to kiss you, even if they try to get away? That type of stuff was all over cartoons when I was a kid, and it clearly had no effect on me. I respect the boundaries of all the dumb Beckys that only want to date Chads because they don't understand I'm a Sigma male, who they should be throwing themselves at. I don't pressure them to do anything they don't want, I just DM them threats, like an adult. Hey, did you know that we have vanishingly little time to combat the threat of global climate change? If it isn't too late already, that is. If we don't coordinate a worldwide effort on the scale of, say, the Second World War within the next couple years or so, we're likely to reach a tipping point from which complete ecological collapse is inevitable. Meanwhile, the tech dicks who control most of the money and resources on Earth have invented a new way to pointlessly burn fossil fuels so that they can maintain a digital signature which lets them pretend to own JPEGs. Boy, it's weird, isn't it? It's so weird. We keep getting caught up in this incredibly self-evidently pointless culture war bullshit, while all of these huge problems rage on with no solution in sight. It's weird, because it feels like if more people talked about these problems, there might be the political will to fix them, or in cases like Myanmar, maybe not fix, but help in some way. So it's almost like people don't want those problems to be fixed, and those people stand to benefit by distracting us with dumb bullshit like whether or not there should be a black Superman. And, I mean, obviously there shouldn't be, because of course, how does that jive with the themes of Superman in any way? Superman is meant to be an outsider, a positive representation of the other, that reminds people that humanity is something we practice and not a facet of one's biology. And how can he represent those things if he looks different than I do? Besides, I think it's time for a white Superman for a change, aside from the two that are currently playing the role in all of the previous versions in cartoons and comics. Because there's no precedent for a black Superman in the source material except for a couple of times when there was. And what kind of lesson would we be sending to young children, particularly black children? That they can be the hero of their own story? Just make a new character instead of changing an old one. But also, if you make a new character, that's pandering PC bullshit, and I'll be mad about that too. God, it's wild, isn't it? Because if you just ignore the shit they're saying, you end up letting them set the narrative, and they'll always use that to harm some marginalized group. But engaging with it is also a waste of time, because they don't actually believe the shit they're saying, they just like that it makes us mad, putting us in this intractable, constantly escalating cycle of inane bullshit. Now, I know I sound conspiratorial. I don't think that there's some kind of master plan, like the High Council of Ding Dongs just meets in a smoky room somewhere and says, okay, this week we're all going to pretend we're mad that the lady got fired from a Star Wars, right? It's just that the right-wing media, new and old, have gotten incredibly good at twisting just about anything to suit their agenda. They know there are certain words and phrases which completely bypass people's logical faculties and send them into a rage. Words like censorship, cancel culture, political correctness. It does not matter when these words do and don't apply. In fact, it almost kind of helps if the words don't apply to the situation you're using it to describe, because you explain that it doesn't apply will just make you sound like you don't care about the issue to them. If you convince someone that what they're seeing is censorship, and then you say it's not a big deal, they don't hear that the thing isn't a big deal. They hear that you think censorship isn't a big deal. Naturally, if people are trying to censor you, they're also going to lie about it, so it's dangerous to take that chance. And if you already kind of want to believe it's censorship because you like that saying it's censorship pisses off the libs, it's pretty easy to justify shutting out all arguments to the contrary on the off chance that if you happen to believe one, you're risking your own freedom. Now imagine that it doesn't piss anyone off. Instead of being pissed off by the conversation, you meet them with curiosity like, hey, why do you think that? And then let them explain it to you and make them explain away the contradictions in their story. Oh wow, so did people make the Dr. Seuss publishers stop printing the books, or? They're prepared to argue over you. That's the reason that they're doing this. But they're not prepared to have to convince you. They have no idea what to do when they're met with genuine questions instead of hostility. And that makes it boring to them, having to defend their positions to someone who they're not even pissing off. What's the point? Well, howdy friends, and welcome back to the Solidarity Corner. A nice, warm, cozy little slice of YouTube where you think you can live in defiance of the will of Lord Oculon and his legions. You thought you were safe. You thought you had found peace. Alas, the usurper is dead. The same fate befell him that awaits all who presume to contain the power of the eyeballs, and with him the last refuge of heretics who deny the ocular flesh. Oh, how I have longed to say these 7 words to you. Oh, how my soul has quivered with the ecstasy of anticipation. And finally, the time is nigh. Hello, and welcome to the Eyeball Zone. Here in the Eyeball Zone, all ye who seek to subdue us are crushed beneath our pupils, and no one will stop us from putting our eyeballs on small leftist projects. Culture Kaleidoscope is a difficult-to-spell YouTube channel hosted by Sarah, an adjunct college professor. In her video, How College Exploits Their Faculty, the Academic Underclass, she discusses how colleges exploit their faculty, making them into get this, an academic underclass. Also, she didn't ask to get this one eyeballed, but she also did a video on psychedelics that I think is worth a quick eyeballing, considering they're literally the only thing that I care about in this sin-cursed earth, and it's a very well-argued video. Hey, do you have a small project whose lust for power may lead it to ruin? Send no more than 1 email to thoughtslimeeditor@gmail.com with the word eyeball somewhere in the subject line, and perhaps you too will be trapped forevermore here in the Eyeball Zone. Now and forever, the Eyeball Zone. For there is truly no one left to oppose us. The Eyeball. Triumphant, indomitable, unstoppable. Whew. Anyway, what was I talking about? Some cancel culture or some shit? Thanks for watching another Thought Slime YouTube video. Why don't you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe and ring that fucking bell that gives you notifications or whatever. Do that. Hey, also, give me money over at patreon.com/thoughtslime, please. I like money, I spend it on video games. Did you also know that you can get more Thought Slime videos over at youtube.com/Scaredy Cats TV? But also, they're not like this one, they're about horror movies, and those come out every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if you want to talk at me and do a chat message at me while I'm either reading them or doing something else, then you have an opportunity to do that every Thursday at 8 p.m. here on YouTube and on Twitch, at both /ThoughtSlime is where you'll find me doing those things. Did I mention it's a Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? I don't remember if I did or not. I apologize if I spoke about Mr. Potato Head's genitals too much in this video. It's a delicate line to walk, you know, because you never want to release a video where you don't talk about Mr. Potato Head's genitals enough. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos make that mistake. But you also don't want to over-focus on them, because that can be, that can be a little awkward. Am I saying I want to have sex with the potato? No. 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 What? Why, is he talking about me? Did he mention me? Hey, where's this bit going? This bit that I'm doing? Where's this going? This is why I should write the bits in advance, because when they're off the dome, this is what happens. Okay, bye.